Hello and welcome to episode number 249 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. This is going to be SmackDown for week 2 of May 2022, and it is the go-home show for Judgment Day. And yeah, we're finally going to get to the SmackDown pay-per-view. Then once that's out of the way, it'll be all systems go ahead to Money in the Bank. Without any further ado, let's jump straight into this go-home show. Opening segment. We're gonna bookend this go home show. It would have been announced on like social media like ahead of time that we're gonna have 2 contract signings tonight. We've got one for the SmackDown Women's Title match and then one for the WWE Championship match. So the SmackDown Women's Title one's gonna open up the show. The World Heavyweight Championship one's gonna close the show. So out comes Bayley. Cora's in the ring already with Pierce for what God knows what reason. And Bayley comes out for the contract signing. She's like, "What's she doing here, Pierce?" And he's like, I don't know. I don't even know anymore. Like, she's supposed to be here on Heat, but she's actually shown up more on SmackDown than she has Heat recently, so I don't even know what's going on with her. She's like, I just want to make sure that this whole goes off without a hitch. Okay, I want to make sure Bayley gets her just desserts, because Bayley's going to get the championship match at Judgment Day. She could be the new SmackDown Women's Champion. I don't want Dakota bullshitting in this thing. So get the champion out here. And then Dakota comes out with the belt, and she's like, you know, I can see what's going on here. You're feigning ignorance, Bayley. You're trying to use Cora's mind to try and trick me into believing that you have no idea what's going on here, but you're trying to devise some sort of secret special strategy to try and screw me out of my championship. Bayley's like, that's not what's going on. I genuinely don't know what she's up to. I'm just sick of her attitude as you are, to be honest. And Cora's like, that hurt. And Dakota's like, never mind, because I'll kick your head off. I'll kick Cora's head off. I'll kick whoever's head comes off at me to retain this championship, because I've spent 5 years getting this title, Bayley, and like I've said every single time, I'm not dropping it this soon. This championship may as well be glued to my waist, because I'll put down in their place anybody who tries to take it from me, and that includes you, that includes your little friend over here, that includes your old best friend Sasha Banks, that includes Io Shirai, that includes Toni Storm, Raquel Rodriguez, Candice LeRae, any of them, any of these people that want to come and step to me, I'll kick their heads off as well. And she signs the contract. Bayley's like, those were tough words, Dakota. You see, you and I, we're a lot alike. Cora seems to think that we're alike, but it's not. It's me and you. We're more alike than you think, because when we came into WWE, we both had the same, bright-eyed look. In fact, Cora kind of is like this now. She could be taking from us in that we both had to really change our attitudes to get to the top. We realised that whole thing wasn't going to fly. And I never looked back, and you never looked back. And here we are, SmackDown Women's Championship on the line at Judgment Day between me and you. Who'd have thought if they saw Dakota Kai and Bayley on the billing, they would be, against each other like this. Everyone would have thought, that's a lovely, happy-go-lucky babyface tag team. But it's come to this. We both want this championship. We're both going to do whatever we can to get it. In my case, back. Your case, keep it. And let me tell you, you can throw whatever you want at me to go over at Judgment Day, because it's been nearly 2 years since I held that belt. I'm about overdue a chance to win it back. Bayley signs the contract. And I was like, well, why do I have to wait till Sunday? The contract's signed. And Pierce sort of gets in the middle. He's like, yeah. I don't know if you heard, but we've got 2 contract signings, so if you could go ahead and not break the table, that would be appreciated. So if they sign the contract, everybody in the ring that needs to sign the contract has signed the contract. So just get out of the ring, and we'll see you on Sunday. And Cora's like, actually that's not true. And Pierce is like, what? And she's like, I just need to... And she takes the contract. She signs the contract herself. And Pierce is like, what have you just done? She's like, did you not read it? There's a clause in the contract, I will be by Bayley's side on a Judgment Day. I guess you didn't read the fine print, I don't know. I think I did kind of get someone to sneak it in there last minute. Yes, last night, while everyone had left the building, last minute. But, hey, it's in the contract, and you didn't read the contract, and now I've signed it, so I'm going to be by Bayley's side this Sunday. So it'll be Dakota Kai versus Bayley with Cora Jade. And Bayley's like, why are you like this? And she's like, but you've now got help, see, it's 2-on-1. And like I said, it doesn't matter. If you dare try and intervene and take my championship off me, I'll kick your head off too. You've just, not only have you signed away Bayley's match, you're now going to be joining her on the injury list. Because you can't take this off me. See you on Sunday. I'll be a good little employee and not smash your beloved table, Adam. But on Sunday, I can't promise anything. We go from that segment to Sasha with Kayla. And she's like, I mean, it's weird seeing, SmackDown Women's Championship action out there and Sasha Banks is not on the marquee, Kayla, because I am the standard bearer of the whole division. I am the top of the division. And a lot of these new young upstarts really need to learn that. They really need to be put in their place. And Sasha Banks is nobody to step on and make a name for yourself on. That includes Shotzi Blackheart, Toni Storm, Amory Porter, Kelsey Cook, and especially that Utami girl. Like, she came in with all this acumen, this high regard. She's one of the Japanese women's wrestling standouts. She got this whole buzz about which brand does she want to be in. But the thing is, I didn't get that buzz. But SmackDown drafting Sasha Banks was a bigger deal than whatever brand she wanted to pick. And I'm going to prove that. Because this is my official challenge to a match with Utami Hayashishita at Judgment Day. And Utami walks in and she's like, you want a match on Sunday? I accept. But I want her tonight, pointing at Indy. And Indy's like, well, you're going to see now what it's like when the future of the women's division is being trained by the correct teacher, the correct boss. Because I'm going to embarrass you. You're not even going to want to be showing up on Sunday because I'm going to kick your ass in the name of Sasha Banks. So Indy and Utami one-on-one tonight, and Utami and Sasha at Judgment Day. 85 rated promo from the House of Black. All of them, but I've just got Alistair, Elias, Brody, and Danny, because I need to fit the Alpha Academy boys on there as well. And he says, Chad, you had a chance to back away, but instead you doubled down. You had the chance to save yourself, but instead you decided to add to the list of pawns in this game of chess. That doesn't bother me. I enjoyed the game. I'm having fun, but you're not going to want to play after Judgment Day, because no matter which two of you step to whichever two of us will be defending the championships on Sunday, it doesn't end the way you want it to end, Chad, because the house always wins. And then Gable comes out and he's like, shoosh, listen here, Spooky Black. The Alpha Academy is the number one way to progress in your WWE career, and we've seen that. Otis, Thatcher, Desmond, and now the Creeds all under my wing. And there's one thing we are missing, and that's those tag team championships. We took them into WrestleMania, we lost the Raw tag team championships, but never mind, because we've got you on our sights at Judgment Day. And like you said, doesn't matter which two of us it's going to be. Well, I know which two of us it's going to be, Alistair, because I'm not a coward. I'll let you know in advance. Me and my number one guy, Otis, are going to face whichever two members of your little group you want to put out there at Judgment Day. Well, but since Thatcher's not going to wrestle at the pay-per-view, he wants a match tonight, right now, against one of your boys. Then Alistair tells all his boys to clear the ring. And we get Alistair and Timothy Thatcher right now. In an 80. Lack of psychology, apparently. Apparently, these two don't have psychology. That's just not true. Alistair beats Thatcher in 9 minutes for Black Mass. 87 for Thatcher. 78 for Thatcher, 87 for Alistair. And yeah, it's going to be Otis and Gable against... I think I decided it was Alistair and Elias for the House of Black at Judgment Day. But here's an important segment. Backstage, Anna Pierce is in his office when in storms an angry Kevin Owens. He says, so Pierce, what are you going to do about this bullshit, huh? And he's like, good evening to you, Kevin. How can I help you? Like, you see, last week in your stupid little tag match that you just so had to book, Braun Breaker, LA Knight, they damaged me. They went into business for themselves. They broke my shoulder. I can't wrestle at Judgment Day now because I've damaged my shoulder, Pierce. That's all LA Knight's fault. Pierce like, look, slow down. Okay, I mean, it is unfortunate that the match between you and LA Knight can no longer happen at Judgment Day, but like I say, this isn't ballet, and I'll make it up to you. I'll tell you when you're cleared. So you come to me when you're cleared, and you and I will still have that match. But that match will be a Money in the Bank qualifier when it does happen. And Owens is like, that's it. I don't get any more special treatment. You're not going to add, give me that United States Championship match that Adam Cole has, because it's also his fault that I got hurt. And Pierce's like, how was it Adam Cole's fault? He's like, well, he could have helped me. It was all part of his master plan to stab me in the back, you see, because I'm such a nice tag team partner. I'm so great with all of my friends. And Adam Cole's a snake, and he just stabs his friends in the back. And he could have helped me, but he didn't. And fine, I'll take your Money in the Bank qualifier. And I'm going to put LA Knight down and get into Money in the Bank. Thanks, Pierce, for nothing. So yeah, the damaged shoulder that he got last week in the main event, he can't work Judgment Day. He's only out for I think 15 days. So he's going to miss Judgment Day, and he's not going to be clear for next week's SmackDown. But then the SmackDown after that, he'll be able to wrestle, so that'll probably be the show where he faces LA Knight. But yeah, the match can't happen at the pay-per-view. I was tempted to also add Knight to the US title match, but decided not to do that. It's just going to still be Cole and Breakker. Speaking of backstage and Judgment Day, Candice and Johnny are chatting. She's like, did you hear? He's like, yes, I did. Me and you and Ciampa against Legado de la Sombra at Judgment Day. And Candice's like, so how you feeling about, this whole thing? And he's like, conflicted. Obviously, it was my idea to reach out to him when we needed help, but he then decided to come and help us by himself, so I don't know what his motivations are, but at least for one night we're gonna have to trust him. And I'm skeptical about it, just like you are. I know exactly how this could end, but for one night only, Candice, we have to do this, because he saved me 2 weeks ago, and we didn't save him last week because you were skeptical about me going out there. But maybe he's changed. Maybe DIY, this is a thing. This is a thing that we can get back together, Candice. And she's like, just be careful. You know what you're getting yourself into by talking to this man. So just, relax and think about what you do. 70 rated match. Trick is going to get a singles match because I need to give Ziggler and John Morrison a win ahead of Judgment Day. So Ziggler's going to beat Trick in a match with Morrison and Hayes at ringside, respectively, ahead of their tag match at Judgment Day. Ziggler pins Trick with a super kick. 35 for Trick, 79 for Ziggler, and a 70 for the match. So Ziggler did a good job carrying Trick here, and that should actually help him quite a bit. But yeah, Dolph gets the win. Backstage, Io is not on screen. She's not here, but she's on screen because figurehead bonus. Kyrie's rushing around buying balloons and got a checklist for Io's special birthday bash that's going to happen at Judgment Day. And Kayla walks up. He's like, Kyrie, are you? She's like, oh, Kayla, hello, yes. She's like, how are you? What are you doing here? How are you holding up? She's like, I can't talk. I'm trying to plan out Io's special birthday celebration for Judgment Day. And Kayla's like, special birthday celebration? Are you sure? Are you sure she's going to show up? She's not here tonight. And she's like, I'll get all of Io's favourite things and cheer her up because she's still down that we lost the tag team championships. So the best way to cheer her up is to bring her all her favourite things. Kayla, do you know where I can find any balloons? And Kayla's like, does she like balloons? She doesn't seem like a balloon kind of girl. And Kyrie's just argues with Kayla about birthday gifts for Io because we need to cheer her up. She's been depressed since they lost the tag team titles to Charlotte and Jordan back at Backlash. Toni Storm quick promo because I had a couple of minutes to kill about how she wants to get in Money in the Bank. She knows Money in the Bank qualifiers start next week, and make no mistake about it, she's going to win but both the qualifier and the match because she's destined to be a top star in the SmackDown Women's division. Doesn't matter if it's Dakota or Bayley that she cashes in on. She'll do it. 70 match. Knee-jerk Nice and Ricochet. This is sort of a cruiserweight showcase match, you know. Velocity's after this, but these are both in the cruiserweight division. Ricochet pins Nice with a 630 and 527. He gets a 92 and a 78 for Nice. So if that had a storyline and shit behind it, that would actually been a really good match, but it didn't, so it's fine. We'll take the 70. Then after the match, Happy Corbin, who's still angry, he attacked Ricochet because, God, why are they giving Ricochet match time and not me? And the new kickoff match for Judgment Day will be Happy Corbin taking on Ricochet in place of LA Knight and Kevin Owens. Just a quick match and segment to set up, you know, just a 2-day build to a match. It's fine. We move. Kickoff show matches don't have to have the best build. This, though, is Kayla knocking on the Bloodline's locker room. And Heyman comes out. And she's like, Paul, I hear Roman Reigns and the Bloodline going to be part of the contract signing with Keith Lee later on tonight. Like, ahead of Backlash. But Pierce has told me that no members of the Bloodline are allowed to put their hands on Keith Lee. And Keith Lee's not allowed to put his hands on any member of the Bloodline in this contract signing because they want the main event to go off without a hitch. And Heyman's like, oh, has he now? So Adam Pearce thinks it's okay to tell the tribal chief and the Bloodline what to do. I know he is the general manager around here, Kayla, but let's be honest, who really runs the show? And as far as the contract signing and Judgment Day goes, the tribal chief will let Keith Lee have a piece of his mind later on tonight when the contract signing begins, and Judgment Day will come by. I'm sure Keith Lee will come. He'll put up a hell of a fight. Like they all do, because they all realise that putting up a fight against Roman Reigns does benefits for their career just by being in the ring on the island of relevancy. But at the end of the day, Keith Lee will be the latest in the long, long list of many, many, many names who have paid a trip to the island, including The Rock, Rey Mysterio, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Buddy Murphy, Cesaro, Big E, Sami Zayn, and how could I forget Seth Rollins? But as far as the contract signing goes, Kayla, you have my word. No member of the Bloodline will put their hands on Keith Lee during the contract signing. Thank you. I'll see you later. Shuts the door. 70 for this, which is actually good, considering the ratings they got. Utami beats Indy. Samoan drop 639. 67 for Utami, 53 for Indy. Nice match. And we've got Utami against Sasha at Judgment Day. And that should be even better than this. Backstage segment. Got Emery Porter and Kelsey Cook. Got Kid and Cara and Katana Chance. And we've got Ember Moon and Mia Yim. This has sort of become the SmackDown Women's Tag Division right now. And they're just sort of bickering about, oh, I want the next shot of the title. I want the next shot of the title. Where are the champions? The champions aren't even on here. When was the last time the champions came to SmackDown? And then we hear, and it is Charlotte and Jordan. They are here. And she's like, so this is SmackDown. Woo. A whole lot has changed since I was last on this show. I haven't been on this show in, God knows, it must be about 5 years now. And it's nice to know that it's still holding up well in my absence. So, which one of you teams is the #1 contenders for the tag team championships? And then they're sort of like, well, we don't know yet if we've sort of all beaten each other. And Charlotte's like, so you're wasting my time. Is that what I'm hearing? I come to SmackDown looking to defend the championships because I've got to be a fighting champion. And you don't even know who's waiting for me. But I'll tell you what, there's a champion special episode of Raw in 2 weeks' time. And we've already beaten everybody on Raw. So you three can have a triple threat tag team match next week, where the winners can face me and Jordan on that champions episode of Raw, because... But Connell, what happened to Asuka and Julia, who won on Raw, that you said would be the #1 contenders for the Women's Tag Team Championships at the Raw Champions episode? That's going to happen on this week's show. I completely forgot that I did that when I announced this triple threat match. So I'll just make some bullshit up. It's fine. So that will be happening on this week's Raw instead of the Champions episode of Raw. I'm busy, kinda, because I'm in Money in the Bank, something that you six will never know anything about. You'll never know anything about being a champion. Even a tag team champion, because you're not going to win them off us. Woo. Etc. Legado de la Sombra. I think Andrade's got a match with Ciampa up next, which is the in-ring main event. And we just get a camera angle of like Zelina and Andrade and Raquel looking kind of frustrated, as both Cruz and Joaquin, they're pitching to be the third member of Legado de la Sombra at the pay-per-view, because it's going to be DIY and Candice against Andrade, Raquel, and then another member of Legado de la Sombra, but that can only be one of them. And they're like, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. And then Zelina's like, shush, Joaquin, Cruz. Andrade will decide by himself. He won't be persuaded by you about which member of Legado de la Sombra will team with him at Judgment Day. Okay? For now, Andrade has to focus on his match with Ciampa up next. And you two have got to focus on making sure Andrade wins that match with Ciampa up next. And then we can discuss Judgment Day, and we can discuss which one of you two wants to get on the team. Unless you know neither of you deserve to be on the team. In which case Andrade will have to think outside the box. 82 match. That's fine, actually. The show should still do good with that as the main event match of the night. Andrade does beat Ciampa. In 13 minutes with a hammerlock DDT. Thanks to some chicanery from Zelina and Raquel and the rest of Legado. 66 for Ciampa, 95 for Andrade. But then the familiar sight after the match. Legado de la Sombra jump Tommaso Ciampa and assault him 5-on-1. But this time Gargano comes out. He gets the big pop, Rebel Heart starts playing. And he got a chair and he starts taking out the Legado boys. And Candice is with him and she's sort of just like, Johnny, what are you doing? And Ciampa sort of slowly gets to his feet and looks at Gargano. And Johnny's got a chair in his hand. He sort of looks at Johnny. Looks at Ciampa with the chair. And he offers his hand out with the chair on it and just drops the chair on the floor in front of him. And then they both just stare at the chair. And look up at each other as if Johnny's like sort of saying, like, you know, there you go. Hit me. But Ciampa just gets to his feet. He picks up the chair. And then he swings the chair. It looks like he's swinging it at Gargano, but then obviously Gargano ducks and then Cruz or Joaquin gets twatted with the chair instead. So you get that whole fake out visual of you see Ciampa swing the chair and you're like, oh fuck. But then, no, he does hit the Legado man. And then him and Johnny just sort of look at each other again as Ciampa puts the chair on the floor. He offers his hand out to Gargano. And Johnny sort of looks. He's like, no, I don't trust this. At all. And then Candice is like, well then leave. And he does. Gargano just walks out without shaking his hand. And Ciampa just stands in the ring just looking at his hand. And then just sort of nodding his head and shrugging his shoulders like, alright, I get it, yeah. But he's going to have to trust him this Sunday in the 6-person mixed tag team match. '91 rated segment is the WWE Championship contract signing. This went 15 minutes because that includes Roman's entrance. Keith Lee comes out first. Then Roman Reigns and the entire bloodline. Roman, of course, sits at the top of the table. And Heyman's like, ladies and gentlemen, Keith Lee, everybody. One hell of an athlete. He sure is limitless. He can do things in this ring that no other man his size, apart from maybe Jacob Fatu, are capable of doing. Speaking of Jacob Fatu, Keith Lee, you lost to Jacob Fatu a few weeks ago on SmackDown. And yet you're trying to take it to the tribal chief? And Keith's like, if I so were allowed to speak, Mr. Heyman, the tribal chief and his tribal bitch cousin, Jimmy, got involved in that match and led to me losing. I mean, it's a fair fight. Jacob Fatu, one hell of a competitor, one tough son of a bitch, but I'd have won that match without the interference of Roman Reigns, and that's why I want absolute word in this contract that I've got in front of me that no other members of the bloodline are to get involved in our match at Judgment Day, Paul, and that includes you. That includes you, Heyman. I don't want you out there, just me and just Roman Reigns, 1-on-1, man-to-man, WWE Champion versus WWE Championship Challenger, and then we'll see indubitably which of the best men will win that encounter. And him was like, you gotta be crazy. Obviously I'm gonna come up with the tribal chief. He's my tribal chief. I'm the special counsel. And Roman just takes the mic off. He's like, Paul, it's like, you're talking a big game, Keith. What is this? What's this go back to, you know? What makes you think you can take it with the tribal chief? Every single time you try to take it to the tribal chief, Keith, you've come up short. You take it back to Survivor Series. That's where this whole thing started. I acknowledged you that night, Lee. Because you were the future. You were the next top guy here in WWE. And even I saw that back then. I acknowledged you. But who won that match, Lee? Huh? I won that match, Lee. You came up to SmackDown. You decided you were going to try and take it to the Tribal Chief at the Christmas Chaos pay-per-view. Who won that match, Keith? I won that match, Keith. You can't beat me. Nobody can beat me. Nobody can beat the Tribal Chief. So if you want to write yourself off of Judgment Day, be my guest and sign this damn contract. But this is your last chance to back away. And Keith's like, sir, I've never backed down from any challenge in my life. And I don't plan on starting today, Friday, week 2, 2022, at the Excel Center. No. And he signs the contract. He's like, I'll see you at Judgment Day. Tosses the contract over to Roman. Roman signs it without saying anything. Slams the pen down, just looks at him. And he says, well, I think we've seen enough here, Roman Reigns, Jimmy, Jacob. It's time to go. And then he sort of stays in the ring as Roman, Jimmy and Jacob leave. And he turns to Pierce. He says, see? I told you, Adam. No members of the bloodline are going to lay a hand on Keith Lee in this contract signing. And then you can hear sort of like the crowd sort of like jeering because somebody's run out from behind Keith Lee. It's Apollo Crews. He's got a pipe. And he jumps Keith Lee with the pipe and he starts laying into Keith Lee because he's technically not a member of the bloodline. And he just starts hammering away at Keith. And then Heyman just sort of walks away. And then out comes Seth Rollins. He crosses past with Roman Reigns on the ramp. They sort of just he tries to run out to save Keith, but he sort of has to stop and like has a little stare down with Roman. Roman sort of laughs at him like, "Look who it is, Paul. This boy." And Seth runs out to the ring to fight off Apollo. He gives him a stomp, and then the table is cleared. We had to have somebody go through the table. Keith Lee lays Apollo on the table, and Seth frog splashes Apollo through the table to win the show. 85, that's fine. Yeah, that's good. I'll take that. And yeah, coming up next will be Velocity with the second round matches from Group A and Group B of the Cruiserweight World Cup. Should be fun. Cruiserweight World Cup, second match week. A and B are the groups in here. We've got Rey Mysterio, who beat Yosuke Akatsuka in the first round, and Nathan Frazer, who beat Jimmy Wang Yang in the first round. So the two winners from the first round facing off here in the opening match. Rey picks up the win. So Rey's now on 6 points, and Fraser's still on 3. And Rey wins with a 6-1-9. He gets a 78. Frazer gets a 57. That's a nice match, though, 75. Probably the best match of the night, I imagine. Yeah, this one was two unimportant people, so I sort of expected this. And then Yosuke picks up his first 3 points of the tournament. He beat Jimmy Wang Yang with a 5-star clutch. 51 for Yosuke, 53 for Jimmy Wang Yang, 43 for the match, whatever. We move on. Oh my god. Banger. Grand Metalik, who's... I don't think he's been on SmackDown since he was moved over in the draft, but him and Lindsay are both in this, and they're doing great. Metalik picks up his first win as he drew with Drew Gulak in a time limit draw in the first round. And Cruz, I think, lost to Mark Andrews. So Cruz loses again. He gets beat by Metalik in 11-17 with a fireman's carry driver. It's 81 for Grand Metalik and a 67 for Cruz del Toro. And the main event, 79. Fair. Gulak and Andrews. The time limit expires again. So Drew Gulak is his style of wrestling, I guess. The story here is that he's more of a like ground technician submission guy in a cruiserweight tournament full of high flyers. So he can't quite finish. He can't do these sprints and finish his opponents off within this 15-minute time limit, as well as like Grand Metalik with his high flying action can. So Gulak's had 2 time limit draws. He's now on 2 points. Metalik's on 4, and Andrews is on 4. And Metalik and Andrews have each other next week. So, or not next week, but next time Group B plays. In fact, I'm going to show you A and B now, the groups. Group A, we've got Rey Mysterio yet to face Jimmy Wang Yang, which is, a nothing match, because Rey's already through and Jimmy's already out. The important match is this one. Yosuke Akatsuka versus Nathan Frazer, both on 3 points. So we see who goes through there. This group is interesting because there's 2 time limit draws for Gulak. He's now on 2 points. He can still win and go get 5 points, but I don't think he can conceivably top the group because these two have each other, and one of them is probably going to win the match. So who knows? It should be interesting when Group A and B next come around. But yes, we would like to finish the show. 77 for Velocity. Yeah, we're getting through the Cruiserweight World Cup. It's really fun. I've been really enjoying it so far. And I'll see you next time for Raw. No, I won't. I'll see you next time for Judgment Day. Episode 250 will be SmackDown's Judgment Day pay-per-view. See you then.